You know, all that financial data you're sitting on, it is constantly telling stories. The real problem, though, is that standard analysis only helps you find the stories you already know to look for. So today, we're going to explore a way to uncover the ones you don't.
And that really brings us to the central question. What are the critical patterns hiding in your data that you don't even know exist? We're talking about those unknown unknowns. You know, the patterns that can hide massive risks and sometimes some really game-changing opportunities.
So to find those hidden patterns, we first have to get real about what we're all currently not seeing. We've got to look beyond our usual day-to-day analysis.
Just think about the contrast here. On the left, that's our comfort zone. We look for variances, exceptions, trends, and look, that's absolutely essential stuff. But it's designed to find things we're already looking for. The real magic, the real opportunity is over there on the right in what we miss. Those hidden relationships, those unknown dependencies, those systemic patterns that just fly completely under the radar.
So, how in the world do we find them? Well, we can actually start with a concept that you probably see every single day online, the also bought rule. This is the foundation of an incredibly powerful technique called association rule learning.
So yeah, this technique is called association rule learning, or ARL for short. And at its core, it's driven by the exact same math that powers those, hey, people who bought this also bought that recommendations we all see. And here is where it gets really cool. We take that simple, powerful retail logic and we just pivot. We point it directly at our financial data. And all of a sudden, that same math can be used to sniff out sophisticated fraud rings, bizarre invoice anomalies, and even critical internal control failures. It's really all about finding those unexpected connections in your transaction data. Now, to make this work, ARL uses a few key metrics. The first one is called support. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is just popularity. It just measures how often a specific pattern or combination shows up in your entire data set. Next up, we've got confidence. This one is all about reliability. It's asking, okay, if this one thing happens, what's the probability that this other thing will happen too? It's that if-then relationship.
And finally, we have what is arguably the most important metric of all, lift. Lift is the secret sauce. It measures how much stronger a pattern is than just pure random chance. This is what separates a truly valuable insight from a meaningless coincidence. High lift is what we're really hunting for.
Okay, so now we have the building blocks: support, confidence, and lift. Let's connect the dots with a real-world example. And we'll start with one of the most powerful applications out there, fraud detection. So imagine your system is just churning through data, and it spits out this little gem of a rule. If a transaction gets posted on a weekend, and the user who posted it has an elevated role, then the transaction amount tends to be abnormal. Now, an auditor might totally miss any one of those things on its own, but ARL spots the whole pattern.
A single rule like this is unbelievably powerful. It's not just pointing to one thing. It's a huge signal for potential collusion, weird approval chains, clear policy violations, and, this is the most important part, patterns that your existing controls were never, ever designed to catch. It's like finding the unique fingerprint of fraud inside your data.
But this technique goes way beyond just fraud. I mean, that's a great use case, but let's explore how we can use it to find all kinds of other financial fingerprints that are hidden in the data.
So here's a rule you might find digging through your accounts payable data. If a transaction is for cost center X, then it almost always uses vendor Y for a very specific category, category Z.
Now, this might not be fraud at all, but who cares? This is incredibly valuable. This pattern can shine a spotlight on policy violations, maybe some wasteful spending if that vendor is super expensive, potential segregation of duties issues, and maybe my favorite, fantastic opportunities to go renegotiate that contract. This is all about operational efficiency.
All right, let's take one more example, just to show how versatile this really is. Let's jump over to a loan portfolio. The system might find this rule. If a loan has a certain payment term and the customer falls into a specific credit score bucket, then it is strongly correlated with future delinquency.
So what can you do with that? Well, a whole lot, actually. This insight lets you improve your risk segmentation, you can fine-tune your pricing and credit policies, and you can develop much more targeted and effective collection strategies. You're basically managing risk proactively based on real patterns, not just individual events. Now, all of these examples, they bring us to the most important concept to really get your head around with this technique. It's about discovery, not prediction. This is the true power of ARL.
And you know, the process itself is way more straightforward than you might think. You basically just transform your data into this transactional format. Each financial event, whether it's an invoice, a journal entry, a loan, it becomes a basket of descriptive items. The algorithm then does one simple thing. It just looks for items that frequently show up together in these baskets across your entire dataset.
And this is the crucial point. I'm going to say it again because it's so important. We are not trying to predict a specific outcome, like whether a single transaction is fraudulent or not. That's a totally different kind of model. The goal here is pure discovery. It's about finding interesting rules and relationships that you didn't even know existed in the first place.
At the end of the day, association rule learning is about generating new ideas, new hypotheses. It's a tool for knowledge extraction, for uncovering those important, non-obvious relationships that a human analyst, no matter how skilled they are, would simply never find just by looking manually through millions of rows of data. It's just not possible.
Ultimately, this technique turns what is often messy, complex, operational data into structured, actionable insight. Which really just leaves us with one final question to think about. What hidden story is your data waiting to tell?